Alright guys, in this session we're going to take a look at 7.6, Exploring Percents. Just a very introductory lesson on percents in general. And here's some basic information about percents. If you aren't already aware, percent, the word itself, means per 100 because the suffix there, cent, means 100. So per 100. And every time we're talking about a percent, every percent is related to 100. So it's always out of 100. So if your hamburger meat says 93% lean, it means 93% of it out of 100 parts is lean meat. The rest is fatty type stuff, okay? Or if your cupcakes says, 25% less fat, that means compared to the regular one, there's 25% out of 100 parts of it that has less fat than the regular cupcake. So it's always related to 100. So every time you see a percent now, I want you to start to think about what does that really mean in terms of that product that I'm seeing, okay? And here is what it kind of looks like. We're going to look at the percent itself, and then putting it back into its fraction form, okay? So the percent form to the fraction form, okay? So if we have 36%, that's the same as 36 over 100. And if we had 23%, what would the fraction form be? Yeah, over 100. You always put the percent over 100. It is always going to be a fraction over 100, no matter what. So 20%, 20 over 100. 83%, 80 over 100. 83 over 100. 1%, 1 over 100. Okay? All right, so we're going to take some practice now at turning fractions back into percents. And there's a couple things to keep in mind. So here we go. All right. Practice number 1. We want to write each fraction or each portion, like 56 out of 100, as a percent. So we want to write it as a percent. So when the denominator is 100, very easy. You already have your answer. 56 over 100, 56%. But what if you get a denominator that's not 100, like 2/20ths? Yeah, you probably guessed it. I got to give it a denominator of 100. So how do I do that? In this case, this easily works. Times 5 times 5. Now I have a fraction over 100. So that's exactly my percent, 10%. Okay? So we want to get 100 in the denominator. That's our goal, because then we know what our answer is in terms of a percent. Okay? Here's some more practice. Let's see if you can do some of these here. Practice number 2, 7 over 25. Give it a denominator of 100. Tell me your answer. So you're going to times by 4 there, and you get 28 over 100, which is 28%. All right, what if it's something like this? Ooh, 40 doesn't go into 100 evenly. How do we do that? In this case, what you want to try to do is, step 1, try to reduce the fraction or simplify it, and then multiply to get 100. So what goes into both 18 and 40? Yeah, 2. They're both even, so you can divide by 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. 40 divided by 2 is 20. Now, 20 goes into 100 evenly, so this will work. By timesing by 5, and that gives me 45 hundredths or 45%. So sometimes you can convert it right to 100. Other times you may have to simplify or reduce the fraction and then convert to 100. All right, are you ready to try some? Here we go. You try. Here they are. I want you to pause the video here and get your answers and then return to check them. All right, here we go. Pause now and try them. All right, how did you do on those? Yep, divide by 3, get down to 9/20ths, and then you're going to times by 5 to get to 100. So 45 hundredths is 45%. Good. If you didn't quite get that, take a look at that again and review it before you move on. Here's our second one. What can we divide by? They're both even. 10 for sure. What else? Actually, yeah, 3 is going to give us the ones we want, so we're always trying to get that denominator of 100. So a lot of you probably thought, oh, I can go by 10 right away. But then your denominator is 30, and 30 doesn't go to 100. So when you're working in terms of percents, you always want to try to get that denominator to 100. So if I divide by 3, then I have that, and then that easily becomes 60%. Okay? Last one, you divide it by 5. That gives me 7 over 25. Oh, 25 easily goes into 100 by timesing by 4. And that gives me 28 over 100 or 28%. So you'll do a lot of practice with that tomorrow. And let's take a look at a little different representation of a percent. So what percent of this shape that you see here is shaded? And that means you're going to have to take the shaded portions over the total amount. So here's our shape. And you already have this on your outline. Okay. And what percent of this is shaded? Ooh, I already kind of started that for you. We have 9 squares that are shaded. And what's the total amount of squares you have there? It's a 5 by 5, so 25, yep. And then what we were just doing, give it a denominator of 100 times by 4. And there's your percent, 36%. Okay? All right, let's try the second one here then. Here's that second diagram that you have on your paper. A little interesting there where we have portions of a square filled in, not the whole square. Okay, let's just kind of fill in the top one as well. And again, what's the percent that is shaded? Ooh, I kind of gave that one away already. Let me take it back so in case you didn't see it. How many squares are shaded? I'm going to dot them in with the white. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole squares, right? So 7 whole squares. And then this is a half and this is a half. That makes another whole square. So now I have 8 whole squares plus half of another. Okay? So how many are shaded? 8.5. Out of how many total? Well, that's a 5 by 5. So 25. Easily to 100. So times by 4. And do your decimal multiplication there. Multiply like normal. One number after the decimal point, so slide it over. And then you have your percent there of 34%. Okay? You should also be able to look at a word problem and write a percent from that. A very simple, very basic percent. We're going real easy today. Here's the real life one, and you have another one there on your paper, but we're going to do just one here. There are 20 students in 4th hour math. 13 of them are boys. What percent are girls? So there are 20 students total, 13 are boys. The question is, what percent of them in math are girls? Okay. All right, so what fraction do you want there? 13 out of 20? No, that'll tell me boys, so I want girls. How many girls then? Yeah, 20 minus 13 is 7. So there's 7 girls out of 20 kids. That easily converts to 100 by timesing by 5. And we have 3,500 or 35% that are girls. Okay? All right, then moving on finally, at the very end here, at the mastery, I'd like you to do this problem and the last story problem on your notes. So that very last story problem I'd like you to solve, and I would like you to do this problem as well. So this one's going to have a drawing here, determine the percent of the figure that is shaded. And here's your shape. And then I'd also like you to do the last story problem on your outline there. Okay, what percent of this figure is shaded and the last story problem. Okay, good luck.